Lewis, you hot? You ready? Let's come to order, please. I want to welcome everybody, both that's in the audience plus those that are on Zoom, to this May 19th, 2020 Board of County Commissioners emergency meeting. When the governor made his announcement last Friday concerning short-term rentals, it caught us all off guard, but by 6 o'clock Friday evening, we had our plan put together and sent to the DBPR over there for review, and then it subsequently went to the governor, and he notified us shortly that we could move forward. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you're aware, as you said, we began this process late Friday afternoon to get where we are today. We were pleased with the fact that we got approved without any addendums or revisions to our plan. What I would like to call your attention to on a couple of things, and each of you have a copy of the plan. It's just simply dated May 14th, 2020. And as we submitted it as a addendum to the letter that we had approved at Tuesday's board meeting. But what you see is a summarization of the Vacation Rental Management Association and the Vacation Rental Hospitality Professionals Association and their guidelines for protections during the current situation, and those we summarized and spelled out, and basically that's our plan. The governor and the DPPR agreed with that and signed off on it. And there is one addition to that, but a couple of things I'd like to call your attention to. On the first bullet point, we need to disregard that. I can tell you when we were working on this Friday, it was between a desktop computer, a laptop, and a cell phone. So there were a couple of things that got a little bit twisted around, but in the end, we got the product done. So where it reads to allow airborne droplets to settle, just disregard that because it has no meaning in what we're doing. Under products, cleaning agents, and equipment, in the very first line, you'll see about 3/4 of the way over the word project online. That should be product. And then the other component was at the request of the DPBR, was to add language regarding hotspots. And we simply referenced Governor's Executive Orders 2086 and 2082 and any other hotspots that they may identify as we move forward, that we should not receive guests from there. And it says reservations, but those folks can make a reservation for more than 45 days from this effective date, but the request is that they not have them here during that 45-day period. This is posted online. It's, like I said, 95% of it is cleaning protocols and the two references to the executive orders, which are posted online as well. We're pleased that we're here today. We're simply going to ask the board to confirm that you're in acceptance of these guidelines, and with a motion and an affirmative vote to move forward immediately with allowing short-term rentals to reopen and begin their operations again.
Okay. What's the board's wishes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Okay, with that said, is any public comment from anyone in the audience? Seeing none, now we'll go on Zoom. First one up is Micro Life Institute. Whoever that is, go ahead and identify yourself for the clerk. Micros Life Institute, are you there? Micro Life Institute, are you there? Move on. Karen Kruger, are you there?
I'm here. I'm just listening to the discussion.
Okay, you raised your hand, so I thought you had a comment. Okay, never mind. All right, next is Joyce. She disappeared. Okay, I don't know where she's at. Last four digits of your phone number, 7727. 7727. If you're there, identify yourself for the clerk. Hello, 7727. Is that you? Hello? Can't hear you. Cannot hear you, sir. You're breaking up real bad. Are you on a cell phone? We can't hear you. Try another phone and call back in. Next is Michael B. Michael B. Michael B., are you there?
Yes, sir. This is Michael Balacio. Can you hear me?
We got you, Michael. Spell your last name for the clerk.
Balacio, B as in boy, A-L-A-S-C as in Charlie, I-O.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Appreciate your time today. I called in. I'm a Louisiana resident. Curious if the commission had given any thought to painting with a more narrow brush here. I appreciate the concern about residents from states that have been deemed hotspots by the Florida governor. It's surprising to me that Louisiana is still being included in that group, considering we've been operating under a stay-at-home order for 8 to 9 weeks by my count, and the mitigation efforts of this state have been recognized by many, including the White House, whereas other Gulf states have taken more minimal measures to control the spread of the coronavirus.
Michael, if you will, let me let the county administrator, Mr. Jones, answer your question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you're all aware, the executive order that the governor put out, I believe it's 86.
It is.
2086, dealing with that issue. Quite frankly, until the executive order is listed, we don't have a choice. We're following what the governor's executive order is mandating, and that's why we mirrored that in this plan.
And had you given any consideration to providing
if you would,
more precise?
just a moment.
Hey, hang on a minute, Michael. Let him finish up. Thank you.
We will monitor that situation, and we will be in touch with the governor's office on a regular basis, asking for updates if they still intend to keep the executive order as it is currently written, which is our guidance today, and if they make changes to it, those would be reflected in our rental process as well.
All right, Michael, I know that ain't what you wanted to hear, but you got any other comments?
Only to the extent I would urge you to, as this goes forward, and I appreciate the situation we're all in, and the tireless efforts I know y'all are exerting on behalf of the county, that you consider more precise measures before you exclude residents of entire states wholesale. Certainly, there are tests that are going around, and I think one of the reasons Louisiana has included in some of these orders is the widespread testing that we have been able to institute, while as other states have not. So to the extent that this can help residents that don't have a reservation to come to Walton County next week, as my family does, and it looks like we're out of luck, and we'll have to take our business elsewhere, I would urge you to consider more precise measures that would allow you to, I think, take a more fair and frankly scientific approach to these kind of exclusions. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next one up is Christopher Gordon. Christopher Gordon, are you there?
I am Christopher Gordon, last name Gordon.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I would just like to echo what Michael B. said there, and also ask as to how this would actually be enforced and whose responsibility is it to enforce those coming in from the so-called hotspots.
It'll be left up to the local sheriff's office and DBPR, Department of Business and Professional Regulations. They're the two enforcement arms of this.
Okay, but from the front line, you know, is it the condo owner's responsibility to test the residency of a person that we as an owner, we don't typically have a driver's license, and then we can get in, you know, various other legal complications if we start requesting private information as such.
I would think that if you rent your place out, you would ask for a minimum of a name and an address and a phone number in case you have to get back up with them. So it's going to it's up to the rental agencies, and those types of entities to make sure that they adhere to the Executive Order 20-86 and 82.
Okay, and if there's no rental agency involved, if it's a direct owner, it's up to that owner to do his due diligence, his or her due diligence, to ascertain to the best of their knowledge as to where that individual or family may be coming from.
That's my understanding, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, next up is Kay Brief. Kay Brief, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Spell your last name for the clerk.
Pardon?
Spell your last name for the clerk.
Is and boy, R-I-E, Epperson Frank.
Go ahead.
And I understand totally why the county is in such a hurry to reopen. I am quite concerned about this because on your April 23rd emergency meeting, there were 35 cases. And today there's 77 residents and 14 non-residents, and we had 5 deaths. And so these numbers are escalating, and it's not just associated with the nursing home, from what I can tell, looking at the figures. And so I have 2 questions. One is the governor's order says people from areas of substantial spread should not become, community spread should not be coming, to include the tri-state area. Well, there are a lot of other areas that are having substantial spread listed on the CDC. How is the county going to address that issue? And some of those include Georgia, and their hotspots in Texas. And it's not just the and Nashville. It's not just the tri-state area. And then my second question is, how is this going to be enforced? It's like during the short-term rental ban, I can't say many, I came across a number of short-term rental landlords who were renting short-term to people from out of state, that, oh, you know, this was family, oh, this was a friend, this was essential worker, we're not taking any money. And I think people are going to work around this. And I just wonder, when the county asks them to please not rent to these people, how is this all going to unfold? So thank you so much. And I know you're doing the best that you can with a lot of different issues in front of you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Okay, next up is Karen Kruger. Karen Kruger, are you there? Karen Kruger, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm just listening to the discussion. Thank you.
All right. Marty Longley?
Or you skipped Matthew Kitchen.
Oh, I missed that one, didn't I? Matthew Kitchens, are you
Hey,
there?
this is Matthew Kitchen, last name Kitchin. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
All right. Again, thank you all very much for taking care of this today. Much appreciated. I've seen a bunch of different write-ups on the policy, and so I'm unclear on a couple of the specifics, and I just wanted to clarify if there was a county policy on common condominium swimming pools and any distancing requirements, load maximums, things like that.
The county doesn't have one specifically. It's just based upon CDC guidelines and the governor's thing about social distancing and no groups larger than 10. That's the parameters everybody's been trying to work with.
State regulates swimming pools.
So, I mean, that would be interpreted as any pool couldn't have a group larger than 10?
That's my understanding.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Okay, we'll try Marty Longley. Marty Longley, are you there? Marty Longley. Moving on. Next one is R. Goobert. R. Goobert.
Gobert, sir.
Okay.
G-A-U-B-E-R-T. Lion Gobert.
Okay, thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Appreciate your time today. I had a quick question about the rental agreements. I, too, am from Louisiana, as Mike had said earlier. And I'm from one of the hotbed areas from Orleans Parish. In fact, though, my mother is from Houston, Texas, and she made a rental agreement in Walton County back in August for my stepfather's 70th birthday. Now, I'm not the direct renter of the unit that would be rented for this week following, but I would be an attendee or a guest for the rental. Am I prevented from going and enjoying my stepfather's birthday? That's kind of the issue here that I'm curious of.
Mr. Jones, if you will, you respond to that.
If I understood you correctly, you're looking at a trip here in August?
No, the rental was made in August for this upcoming week.
Oh, okay.
But I am not the undersigned name on the rental agreement. I would be a guest.
Probably would be afraid to offer an opinion.
Right. So, sir, we can't, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I can.
We can't give you legal advice about what you should or shouldn't do in the, face of this. But I would say that the governor's executive order that requires individuals from Louisiana to self-quarantine is still in effect. So we can't give you legal advice about what you should or shouldn't do. I do encourage you to look at all of the governor's executive orders, and talk to an attorney of your own choosing if you feel that's necessary to obtain legal advice.
Okay. Anything else, sir?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Hope White, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, spell your last name for the clerk, please.
White, W-H-I-T-E-E.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my question has to do with the VRMA and the VRHT guidelines for the cleaning, and I've read the cleaning and inspection stuff on your addendum. What are you guys considering extra time? Are you going to require the condos to do a turn time of 24 hours? Or are you allowing them to, person checks out at 9 a.m., they're allowed to have it rented back out at 4 as long as the cleaning's been done?
Mr. Jones.
There is no requirement of a separation of time other than what's spelled out in the addendum letter, and to make sure that the appropriate cleaning procedures have been used and taken. But as far as a time frame that the unit must be vacant is not there. But I think there are a couple of things that say you should wait a certain period of time in order to do certain things. So it's not a matter of, someone can walk out right now and someone else tomorrow, but the typical, if you check out at, 3 or 4 today and check-ins at noon or 3 o'clock tomorrow, there's probably sufficient time to do all the things that need to be done.
Okay. Yeah, that was just my question, because I was wanting to make sure that we could still check in and there wasn't an issue with the people before us, and they're having to be, because I know some of those guidelines were saying 24 to 72 hours. I know that would be pretty impactful on the rental agencies if they had to do a 72-hour turn time.
Right, and we were aware of those, and that was a specific detail that we dealt with in our conversations, primarily with the governor's office, of the impact that would have, and we were allowed to not include that in our plan.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Brian Wojcicki. Brian, are you there? Brian, are you there? Moving on. Last 4 digits, 7727, 7727. Identify yourself, please. 7727. I don't see it. Just so I go ahead and clear up something, once you spoke, that'll be your opportunity then. I see Michael B. is back on. Did we ever talk to Michael B.? We did, I think so. So, Michael, you have no further comments coming to us. Thank you. All right, Kristen Parrish. Kristen Parrish, are you there? Kristen?
Hello?
Hello, Ms. Parrish?
Yes, this is Ms. Parrish.
Okay, spell your last name for the clerk, please.
Parish.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
So our question is, yes, we're from Louisiana. We're from St. Tammany Parish. It's north of New Orleans. We were trying to book a short-term rental, the beach side in, Sandestin for beginning of July. Are we going to be able to come? Do you know if it's going to be out? Is this still all going to be going on where Louisiana residents are not able to come? Like, that's a lot of money for us to book down, to put down, to where we don't know if we're going to get turned around or get told that we can go. Yeah, sure, but then you have to stay in your hotel room.
Well, Ms. Parrish, I want you and the others to understand from the state of Louisiana, we did not single Louisiana out. The governor's office did, along with the other 3 from up in the Northeast. So we're working under his executive order. He's the one that's mandated this. We cannot change it. All we're going to be doing is just...
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Ms. Parrish, can you hear me?
And you're in and out.
Okay.
And you're in and out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I can hear you.
All right. Well, like I said before, we did not mandate that Louisiana be one of the states or hot spots that could not come down here. That was out of the governor's office. We cannot change it. We have to wait on him to make any modifications to that. We will be monitoring our local area, and we'll be in concert with the governor's office and to see if that is relaxed in any way as we progress through the rest of the year.
So do we have a date possibly that he will see about maybe if summer vacations are a possibility for Louisiana residents?
Have no idea what to tell you because we didn't even know he was going to discuss this last Friday afternoon. It caught us off guard and everybody else in the Panhandle. So we don't know what he's going to do and when he's going to do it.
Okay. All right, well, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Jody Bordelon, if I pronounced that correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you spell your last name for the clerk?
Certainly. B as in boy, ORDELON.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Yes. Can you please elaborate on the 45-day period referenced as it pertains to the executive orders for the tri-state area in Louisiana? I didn't quite understand what that 45-day period represented.
Okay, Mr. Jones.
Glad to, Mr. Chairman. The executive order is in place, and it says what it says regarding, in this case, I believe it's 2086 and 2082 is the other one referenced. The 45-day period says that those areas covered by that executive order are not invited. That doesn't mean you can't make a reservation for 46 days from today and come here. So that's where the 45-day window starts. It starts today and it runs for 45 days. The governor's office approved that. So whether they intend to make a change between now and then, I don't know. But I do believe it gives us some relief at day 46 to allow those visitors to come. I don't think it creates a prohibition of you making a reservation that would fall outside of that 45-day window.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my understanding, the way you explained it, is that 45 from today and 45 days forward, if you are from Louisiana, you may not make a reservation or keep a reservation you previously had. But on the 46th day from today, you may make a reservation or, in my case, have to extend a reservation a couple of weeks out.
That's all right.
The 46 days, the magic number for Louisiana from today.
But your statement was only partially correct. You can make I don't know what day 46 is, but you could call today and make a reservation starting that day. So
if you are from Louisiana, it will be allowed.
The reservation outside of the 45-day window, my understanding is, and the way we presented it, is that it would be allowed.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you can come till that 46th day, but that's my understanding that, if you call any of the management companies and or individual, that they could take a reservation as long as the stay period was outside of that 45-day window.
Okay, may I ask how the 45-day window was arrived at? What does it represent?
I have no idea. That came out of the governor.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not something Walton County arrived at that number. It's something that the governor instituted.
That's correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it. Okay, thank you for your time.
All right. Next up, I think Michael B., you've already spoke. So next one is Fewing. Fewing.
F-U-N.
Yeah, it's Fred Ewing.
Spell your last name.
W-I-N-G.
Fred, spell your last name for the clerk.
It's Ewing. E-W-I-N-G.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
You have two questions. I'm a resident of Tennessee, non-hotspot. Will be coming down in late June into the watercolor compound. And I had a question about swimming pools. Watercolor is a great resort. Earlier, I heard that only 10 people would be allowed for a pool. Is that correct?
They're doing that. My understanding is some of these areas such as watercolors, they have come up with their own requirements or rules dealing with the amenities that they have on their property. So if you heard that, I would suggest you contact Watercolor, because that's not something we've done other than to emphasize social distancing and no more than 6 or 10 in a group. Some of these resort areas are taking in and putting in additional parameters, so that's not something that we came up with.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. My second question, will beach set vendors, beach chairs, umbrellas, will those vendors be permitted to operate with the new guidelines on the beach?
Yeah, now, as far as what Watercolors does, I cannot tell you. That'd be up to them as if they're going to allow the vendors down there or not. Public beaches, we've already opened that up last week to. Okay.
All right. Those are my 2 questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Next up is Reed, R-E-E-D. Reed, are you there? Reed, are you there? Reed, you there? All right. Next up is Bill. Bill, are you there? Bill, are you there? Okay, next up is Kyle. K-Y-L-E. Kyle, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, got you now, Kyle. Identify your last name and spell it for the clerk.
Last name is Christ, K-R-I-S-T, as in Tom.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Will there be a limit as to how many renters can be in any short-term rental at a given time? Is 10 the max, or can we have as many as we want in a rental at a certain time?
There's nothing in the reopening documents that specifies how many you can have in a unit. That would be up to the rental agency and the other guidelines that are laid out. But in the document that was approved through the governor's office, in order to allow the short-term rentals to open, there is no requirements nor restrictions on how many can occupy a house or a condo.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Next up, Mark L. Mark L., are you there? Mark L., are you there? Mark L. All right, move on. Jeremy Miller. Jeremy Miller, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We got you. Spell your last name for the clerk, please.
It's Miller, M-I-L-L-E-R.
All right, go ahead, sir.
So my question is in regards to social distancing on the beach. And it's kind of a 2-part question. The first part is, how is the social distancing on the beach being monitored and or enforced? And then my second question is we're coming in from Texas at the end of June, and our party is 13. Is there any guidelines as to how many people are allowed in your group on the beach?
Well, the answer to your first question is that the sheriff's office, our code enforcement officers, beach ambassadors will be doing the enforcement concerning the 6-foot separation and the 10 or more. I'm going to let legal, I think you had a comment.
Yeah. So, sir, currently on the beach, you can't have groups greater than 10 gathered together, and then those groups would have to be spaced 6 feet apart from one another at a minimum. I'd also like to say, you know, I realize everyone has a lot of questions. This board, we can't give anybody legal advice. There are a number of regulations and rules that have been promulgated by the state, you know, regarding all kinds of different facets of people coming here and traveling here. and those are subject to change. So it wouldn't be appropriate for us to give anybody legal advice about what they can do while they're here. Number one, because that could change before you get here, and also because a lot of those rules and regulations are being promulgated by the state. But if you have questions specific to the guidelines, we can try our best to answer those.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. I think the question a few before me was they were talking about people in the party as far as how many people are allowed, in the house. As when the houses are rented, you rent per the, occupancy for how many people you have in your party. So that was why I was curious if it was, if you're all together, all one family on the beach together, if they were going to make us separate at that point because we were 13 instead of 10.
Well, I understand that, and that's going to be a judgment call on the part of the sheriff as how far he's going to take that. But that'll be his call and his personnel's call.
That works for me. I appreciate y'all's time and everything that y'all have done.
All right, thank you, sir. Next up is Jonathan. I don't have a last name. Jonathan, are you there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Identify your last name and spell it for the clerk.
Yes, sir. It's Jonathan Sanders, Sanders.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
All right. Before I ask my question, I just want to thank you guys for all your hard work. Folks don't understand, sit on the sidelines, how difficult it is being in a position like you are. So thank you, everyone, for all the hard work you put in. We know that you have our best interest in mind.
Thank you, sir.
So my question is more on, what to expect in the way of monitoring the situation in the coming months. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are going to be coming to the area, which is a good thing for everyone. All our businesses are suffering, and really for good reason. I mean, we all want to be safe. But is there any metrics in place that you all have discussed to say that, if X number of cases sort of pop up, you'll be shutting things back down? I'm just trying to get an idea of what discussion has taken place to, respond in case there is some kind of additional outbreak. And I'm really just thinking of a risk to my business sort of standpoint on what resources we allocate going forward for the next 3 months.
Well, I'm not sure that we can answer that definitively. I do know that we are constantly in contact with the health department and the medical fields, and there could be a time in the future, we don't know when, and we do not have a number, but if we start seeing a spike that's in the community and not isolated to one particular area like it is right now, then we may have to take additional measures and peel back or pull back some of the stuff that's in effect. But right now, I can't tell you when that number or what that number is or what date that may happen. So it's still fluid, and we're having to work day to day and keep an eye on everything. But we feel we're confident enough that we're willing to relax all this stuff to move forward.
All right, I appreciate that. And the second question is, are there any plans for setting up any kind of a mobile testing center for cleaners and maintenance personnel to be able to go through and just get tested every once in a while, just to kind of double check? Is there any discussion of that?
Yes, they've set up 4 particular sites. They're doing one today. I think it's probably over with by now, getting close. I'm going to ask Jeff Goldberg, he's our emergency management director, let him speak to you that question.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Jeff Goldberg, emergency.
Now that's on. Okay. Jeff Goldberg, Goldberg. Yes, we finished our third drive-through testing site today. We pushed through 252 vehicles, potentially somewhere around 400 to 500 tests. We've got another one planned in Mossy Head. We are working with the health department on this. They're the lead on this, obviously. We're providing logistical support. We are looking at doing it again probably next month, more than likely in 2 other locations. And speaking with Holly Holt, the health officer, she's looking at actually doing some mobile testing as well. So these are some of the plans that we have to make sure that we continue to monitor any potential community spread.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. I'll go to the emergency management website to find where those are so I can advise our staff. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. 7727, last 4 digits, 7727. Are you there? 7727, are you there? That's our third try on that one, isn't it?
Yes.
7727, last call. All right. Next one up is Amy. It's all run together, so I'm thinking it's Amy Snoots, Snoots. Are you there?
Yes, that's me.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I got you, Amy. How about spelling your last name for the clerk?
Yes, sir. S like Sam, N like Nancy, OOT like Tom, S like Sam.
Okay, go ahead, Amy.
Thank you. Yes, I was trying to kind of read in detail the Executive Order 2086. I am a resident of Texas, and this will be the 17th year in a row that we have traveled to Seaside, Florida for this vacation with our family. Sometimes we fly, sometimes we drive. This year, we were planning on driving, and when I'm reading the detail on this executive order, it does clearly state anyone entering from the, Florida from the state of Louisiana. But I'm just wondering, and I know you didn't write this executive order, it's coming from the governor's office, department or office. But I'm wondering, do you think I'm being too stringent in interpreting this rule as that I can't drive through the state of Louisiana from Texas in order to get to Florida? Or if I can prove, if I can prove that I'm a resident of Texas.
Well, I do know that as you come east on I-10 from Texas, you're going to be stopped at the Alabama line and be pulled into a checkpoint, and they're going to ask you certain questions. And one is, are you from Louisiana? 2, did you stop in Louisiana and come around somebody that may be positive? So if you filled up right there about Beaumont, you probably could make it in through Louisiana without having to stop. So, they're going to ask you some questions, and it'll be whatever your response is will determine what action you. But if you stop in Louisiana and visit or whatever, then you're looking at a 14-day quarantine once you arrive in the state.
Okay, got it. No, we'll get through there as fast as we can.
Okay, very well then.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, Stephen Rodriguez. Are you there, Stephen Rodriguez?
Yeah, this is him. Can you hear me?
I got you. Spell your last name for the clerk.
Rodriguez.
All right, go ahead, Stephen.
My question was actually the same question as the lady that just asked about going through Louisiana. So what you're saying is we can't even stop for gas or to use a restroom in Louisiana. We just got to drive straight through Louisiana and then stop in Alabama for the checkpoint.
Stephen, that's all I can tell you is that's the questions they're asking over there at the checkpoint, because my son went through it Sunday. So I don't know what to tell you. I'd like the lady before, if I could fill up before I hit the Louisiana line, I wouldn't stop until I got to Mississippi.
Okay. And are there any concerns with people coming in from Tennessee, from Nashville?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Hayden Markowitz. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I spell your last name for the clerk.
Sure. Markowitz, MARKOWITZ.
All right, go ahead, sir.
I appreciate what you guys have done, getting this thing approved quickly. I had a quick question on rental companies and owners. are we going to be required to obtain any type of health evaluation prior to the guests checking into Walton County or entering Walton County?
Not that I'm aware of. Larry, you got anything to say?
No, sir, there's no requirement in what we've submitted and was approved that would require such.
Great. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Next up is Christina A. Last name starts with an A, I guess. Christina, are you there?
Yes.
All right.
My name is Christina. Hi, how are you?
Christina, spell your last name for the clerk.
Sure. Acosta, Acosta.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
My question is, I'm a resident of Miami, and we tend to visit Walton County, Seaside specifically, for vacation. Are there any restrictions for Miami residents to rent a house in the coming weeks?
We're not aware of any, and the governor hasn't advised as far as travel from the 3 hot counties down there on the East Coast.
Very well. Thank you.
All right. Next up, Reed, R-E-E-D. Are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
All right. Identify your full name, please, and spell your last name for the clerk.
Prince. P as in Paul, R-I-N-C-E.
Okay. And last name?
That's the last name.
It's Reed is the first name, R-E-E-D.
Okay.
Last name is Prince,
Okay.
P-R-I-N-C-E.
All right. Go ahead, ma'am.
So I'm from Louisiana as well, and I guess I've kind of answered my question, being that we can't even, or other people can't even stop to get gas on their way to Florida. But I was curious, my family has reservations actually this Saturday through the 30th. If we were able to provide COVID results with a negative test entering into the state for all travelers, would that be accepted?
I do not know. We are not in charge of that. That's Florida Highway Patrol and DOT and a bunch of others that are over there at that checkpoint. So I do not know if they're requiring those type of documents. I don't know what to tell you. We just don't know. It's about 4 counties away from us, so it doesn't affect us, so to speak, as far as, because they've already be checked long before they get to this county. Anything else?
That'll do.
All right, thank you. Last 4 digits of phone number, 01450145. Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Identify yourself and spell your last name for the clerk.
Brittany Blackman, B-L-A-C-K-M-A-N. I did not have a question for you guys, but I did want to sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart, the vacation rental community and all ancillary businesses here in Walton County. I know this was a very difficult decision for you guys, and working with the governor as quickly as you guys could. So I just want to send you a gigantic air hug and a thank you for the time that you guys invested to help our economy get back on its feet.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Okay. Next up is Lori Redmond. Lori Redmond, are you there? Lori Redmond, are you there? Lori Redmond. Last call, Lori Redmond, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Okay, gotcha. All right, spell your last name for the clerk, please.
R-E-D-M-O-N-D.
Okay, go ahead.
Are there specific guidelines for cleaning of rental properties that we should be following, or is it just CDC guidelines?
Well, this addendum to our original letter to the governor indicates the type of cleaning agents and what to clean. And it's primarily anything that's routinely touched, doorknobs, flat surfaces, cleaning of linen, washing between visits, personnel. But all of that is posted on our website concerning what is recommended and required to be clean, including trash.
to the Walton County website?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thank you very much.
All righty. Initials J-A-H. J-A-H. Are you there?
Yes, I am. My name is John Howard.
Okay.
Johnhhoward.
Okay.
And my question is related to social distancing. In particular, there was an event that I witnessed on the public county beach where the sheriff said they could request the people to move to social distancing. It was a group that came within 6 feet. They were asked to move, and they did not. The sheriff that responded, or the officer that responded, said they are unable to enforce any social distancing on the county public property. Is that true? If we have social distancing in effect, are they enabled to enforce that, or is that only a request?
It's CDC's recommendation to do the social distance 6 feet. I'm trying to briefly scan through these EOs to determine if.
He's talking about our local state of emergency that requires.
We'll speak to him there.
So, sir, I cannot speak for the sheriff's office. I'm not exactly sure, what may have gone into their decision making in that particular circumstance. But right now, it's a requirement under Walton County's local state of emergency that on the beaches in Walton County, there not be groups larger than 10, and that groups be spaced 6 feet apart.
And it's a secondary.
Is that something that will be enforced by the county?
So
or is that only a request by the officers that are on site?
That would be enforced by the Walton County Sheriff's Office. I can't speak for the Sheriff's Office. The sheriff is a separate elected constitutional officer. He is responsible for enforcing a lot of the rules and regulations that the county adopts, and we work closely with the Sheriff's Office. But the Sheriff's Office and the county are two separate entities that don't have control over each other. So I can't really speak for the sheriff.
So does that mean the sheriff has the option of which rules they will enforce and which ones they just consider guidelines?
No. If I ain't mistaken, and our county attorney's sitting right to my left, when we passed that emergency order and we indicated the social distancing and the groups of 10, that is a mandate to have enforcement done because it becomes a second-degree misdemeanor if you fail to not follow those, right?
Right, but
I know.
as you know,
I
a
know the
lot
sheriff
goes into
can make his own
enforcement.
determination. So
Right.
the only thing I can tell you, sir, is you might want to reach out and talk to the sheriff because he's one that if he may put it out that way, he may have a deputy just doing it his own way. So you'd have to.
On site, they said they would not. So the follow-up question is that apparently social distancing doesn't apply to the public property. Does that apply to private property? Is the same? Same rules?
No, sir. When we passed it, it involved, it was across the board, public and private. And why he is not, or his deputy is not enforcing it, I can't speak to that. You'll have to check with him.
Mr. Chairman, could I
Go
say
ahead.
something? I don't know about this particular case, and obviously there's some conflict with it. But I have seen the deputies and the code enforcement enforce the social distancing. Now, the people gladly move when they were asked to move. So I know there's been many cases where that people have moved after being talked to by the deputies and code enforcement. So I can't speak for this.
And this was an issue where they did not. So the question is,
I can't
are
speak
they
for
going to
that.
enforce it?
Like the chairman and our attorney said, you need to contact the sheriff's department. But I have seen it being enforced, and it may be because the people moved voluntarily. But I can't speak to your particular case, but you would have to take that up with the sheriff.
May I make a request that the BCC formally instruct the sheriff to enforce? Now, it may be his option that he does not, but can the BCC formally request the sheriff to enforce social distancing issues on the public beach?
No. I'm retired, and there's 2 or 3 of us sitting up here on the podium that are retired from the sheriff's office, and we can pass ordinances that dictate to, that the sheriff is the one that does the enforcement. But for me to go in there and tell the sheriff, I want you to go out there and do this or that, that is not available to me. Your concern should be to the sheriff. You can proffer your question and your observations to him and let him tell you why it happened that way. And he may not even know it happened that way. I don't know. So, but you'll have to check with him. All right, next up. You still bringing that number up here. Now, he's had, I know he raised his hand, and this is the fourth time I've asked him to speak. All right, 7727, your last shot at it, 7727, are you there? 7727, last four digits, 7727. That's fourth time, last shot at it. Okay, next up is Taylor. Taylor, are you there? Taylor, are you there? Taylor, are you there? All right, go to the next one. Laura Lee Sparks. Laura Lee Sparks, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, spell your last name for the clerk, please.
S like Sam, P like Peter, A-R-K, S like Sam.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
My question is related to the cleaning of the units and the time frame between checkouts. I know that many of the homes that are owned individually that aren't under a management company that just hire their own cleaners, the cleaners do multiple houses on a Saturday within, a 5 to 6 hour period. Is there any guidance or guidelines that are going to be enforced on, how many homes can be cleaned and how, that kind of thing?
Well, the only thing I can tell you is based upon what we've got put out today is that if you can do what is required in this document in 2 hours, fine. If it takes you 4 hours, so be it. But you're going to have to just determine if you got enough cleaning crew personnel to address that, along with any others that they may be under contract with. But this here's the minimum that has to be done or needs to be done. And so you're going to have to make a decision if it's your home as to make sure that you've got it as sanitized as you can based upon the guidelines. Because it would always, if you don't do it or they shortcut at you, then that's going to possibly impact your business at a future date.
Okay, and then, so my second question following that is, are the homeowners responsible for making sure that their cleaners are aware of these new requirements?
It's either the rental companies or the homeowners if they do their own scheduling of people to come in. It'll be up to the homeowner. So you need, if you got a cleaning crew, and I would assume you would, to do that, then yes, you need to make sure they're aware of this document, which is available on our website.
And all linens need to be done in a commercial washing machine?
No, it doesn't say that. It just says it's to be cleaned. And if you can put it in your washing machine, so be it. But if you think if it's too much of it and you need to put it in a commercial, then so be that too. But there's no requirement that it has to be commercially laundered.
It says professionally. It says professionally, not commercially.
It says professionally.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to tell you there. I figure I'm professional enough. I know how to put it in the washing machine. And I don't mean to be smart about it, but the thing about it.
Your cleaners are professionals.
There should be clarification of that, though. I mean, y'all wrote this proposal, so I think we need to have that be clear.
I would say that a cleaner who is cleaning the unit is a professional cleaner, and that would be adequate for the. I think commercial would mean taking it off site and doing it through a dry cleaner or something. So I would say a professional would be a regular cleaner.
All right. I agree with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Gracious, this list just gets longer and longer. Get down to about 3 and then 10 hands come up. All right, last 4 digits, 9492, 9492. Are you there?
Yes, I am. My name is Austin Watson.
Spell your last name for the clerk.
Watson, Watson.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I just first wanted to start off by saying thank you. I know that the Walton County Board of Commissioners put in this request late last week, early into the weekend. The hard work getting that done was fantastic, just trying to open up as quickly as possible. As of right now, I have been kind of keeping track of what's been going on, and I saw that your safety guidelines were approved, and that you could follow them. And I was kind of curious on when the approval would start, if the Board of Commissioners would set a date, whether it be, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, into the weekend, but what that might look like, because right now we had a reservation booked for this weekend, Friday to Monday, for Memorial Weekend. We had to cancel it, but we were told when things change, if they do in this week, we would be able to reserve again, and I wanted to check up on if that would be possible.
Even though it wasn't part of the motion, and I'll ask if he wants to modify, but I think the intent was to begin immediately.
Yes, that was the
Okay, perfect.
All right, okay, he modified his motion and the second, so it'll begin immediately if passed today. Okay?
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might make a comment on that, that's from the board and county's perspective. No idea what his rental agency may be doing, so you'll need to follow up with them to be sure. But as far as their ability to move forward from a state and county perspective, under the guidelines that were approved, they have that immediately, assuming this motion passes.
Okay. All right, next up, Paige. Paige, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Hear you, Paige. I need to identify your last name and spell it for the clerk.
Sure. It's Bird, B-Y-R-D.
You broke up a little bit. Try that again.
It's Bird, B-Y-R-D.
Okay, we got you now. Go ahead, Paige.
Okay, perfect. My question was, we were supposed to have a reservation to check in tomorrow, and we notified the rental company that everything has opened back up. So, but the rental company says that they haven't received any of that news yet. So where can we direct them to that information?
Well, once the board takes action on the motion that's on the floor about opening them back up, immediately it'll be posted on our website, and that way they'll know then that they're free to go ahead and move forward on their reservations. It'll probably also be on TDC website too. Do you know who your management company is?
It's through Turnkey Rentals.
All right, TDC guy doesn't recognize it, but okay. Did that answer your question, Paige?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Beaky, B-E-K-I. Beaky, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Beaky, how about identifying your last name and spell it for the clerk?
The last name is St. DJ. S is in Steve, T is in Tom, D is in David, I, Z is in Sarah, I-E-R.
You get that, clerk? Hang on a minute. She didn't get all of it. Would you go through it again?
Yes, sir. S is in Steve, T is in Tom, D is in David, I, Z is in Zebra, I-E-R.
You got it? She got it. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, thank y'all for taking my call. I'm from Louisiana, and we have a reservation in Alice Beach from June 13th to the 20th. Are we not allowed to enter Florida?
As of right now, the governor has prohibited anyone from. You can enter. I'll let legal go ahead and give you all this legalese stuff.
Ma'am, so right now there's an executive order that's in place that requires individuals from Louisiana and also New York and New Jersey to, if they enter the state of Florida, to self-quarantine for 14 days or the entire length of their trip. whichever's greater. So you can enter the state, but you wouldn't be able to leave wherever you're staying as long as that executive order is in place.
Okay, one other question. Where would I go to find out if this order is rescinded?
So if you Google, you can just Google Florida Governor Executive Orders. It'll take you to a website. All of the executive orders regarding the pandemic are posted on that website.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, ma'am. Jay, do you want to say something?
Just real quick, I know people have questions about how we're going to disseminate this information. So in addition to the websites, we'll also be pushing this information out to our partners in our database. And I spoke to the clerk's office over the weekend, and they have a very extensive list of all bed tax collectors. So they'll be pushing it out to their database as well.
Okay, very good. All right, Rafael Torrero. Rafael, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, spell your last name for the clerk.
Yes, sir. My last name is Torrero, spelled T as in Tom, E-R-R-E-R-O.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
First, I wanted to say thank you for the hard work you guys have been doing to enable the short-term rental ban to be lifted. I know that this was somewhat dropped on us on Friday, and you guys responded in a grand way, so we really do appreciate it. My wife and I are locals, and we both own properties in Walton County, and we really do appreciate what you've been able to do for not only us, but for the folks that we work with to enable this tourist part of the business to be successful. I would like to just ask one favor from the county commissioners. We had a caller call in earlier from Miami, and Miami, based on what I've seen, is a hotspot. However, it appears that we have either a blind spot for anything in Florida or any of these locations, such as the tri-state area or Louisiana. However, the biggest issue in Louisiana was in the New Orleans area. There's a lot of land outside of Louisiana that people could be traveling from, including Lafayette, Alexandria, Shreveport, that are not at risk of this coronavirus like they had been in New Orleans. However, we can accept people from Miami. However, we can not accept people from Louisiana as a whole, and that seems a bit odd if we're really trying to protect the public from certain risks. So my request is, would we be able to ask for clarification from the governor if he's specifically concerned about an area like New Orleans or other hotspots like Miami, that be specifically what he's asking for, so that other areas that may choose to want to come to this area won't be impacted by this executive order, which appears to be a bit broad and not as specific. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Karen Schaefer. Karen Schaefer, are you there? Karen Schaefer.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, spell your last name for the clerk, please.
Schaefer, S-C-H-A-E-F-E-R.
Okay, go ahead.
My question is similar to the one that was just asked. If the verbiage says individuals and rental agencies will refrain from accepting reservations from COVID-19 hotspots in the country for the next 45 days, how do I definitively identify those particular areas? I need a website to go to be able to say, you know, no Louisiana, no Connecticut, et cetera. And then what could happen? What happens if that changes over time? And I've received a booking for someone from Georgia, and then all of a sudden it becomes a hot spot.
Larry?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ma'am, we are relying on the state, specifically the governor's office, to identify hot spots, and we'll go back to the question of the gentleman earlier. In understanding what each of you are saying, that the hot spots are as identified in the governor's executive orders as we understand them today. If there are additional hot spots, they will be identified through a similar mechanism from the governor's office. If these are no longer considered hotspots, they will be rescinded and we will make the appropriate changes. But as hotspots are identified by the governor's office and we are put on notice through an executive order of the responsibility of either those coming or those here and how we would deal with it, we will certainly take that as direction and modify our plan so it can go either way. The advice we had gotten from the state agency that was working through this was to be sure we included that language or similar language into our plan. That's why it's there. We're not expecting you to go point out on a map what are hot spots and what are not. We're going to leave that up to the governor's office to do as they see fit and move forward.
Okay, that makes sense. I can follow that. So according to what I'm reading is I can't accept a reservation for somebody in one of those areas identified in the governor's declaration for the next 45 days. So I should be able to accept a rental agreement for someone from, say, New York who wants to come at the end of July. Is that okay?
As long as it's past that 45-day window. You can take
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Erica, are you there? Erica, are you there?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Okay, Erica, identify your last name and spell it for the clerk.
Sure. It's Stone, S-T-O-N-E.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I have a couple of rentals over in Walton County, and I was a little bit late to the meeting. I wanted to see if the governor had approved what Walton County had submitted, or if there were any changes to what I'm reading online that was submitted.
What you're reading online was submitted. That is what the governor approved, and that's what we're moving through today.
Okay, because I have heard, in some areas there's 72 hours in between rentals, and I wanted to make sure that that's not our case.
If you didn't read it in that, it's not there. We do not have a time frame between one renter and another.
Excellent. Thank you so much for clearing that up, and thanks for all you guys do. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Graham Russell.
Hi, thank you for taking the question, and thank you for all the work you do and the speed with which you work through this issue. Greatly appreciate it.
Graham, I need you to spell your last name for the clerk.
Sure. Last name is Russell, R-U-S-S-E-L-L.
Okay, go ahead.
And like the last caller, I couldn't get into the first 15 minutes, such was the popularity, so I missed the headline statement. Is it possible to read it quickly again, or when will it be posted on the website?
It's what's on the web page. A couple pages got a lot of stuff in there, so I don't anticipate we're going to read it out loud here right now, but it is available to you, and there's no changes except one bullet point, and that's under the disinfection sanitation. That the first bullet point was deleted, and then there was a misspelling, so we made a correction there.
Good. So what was submitted, I heard you saying, was approved, so it's good and it's effective immediately?
As soon as we take a vote. We haven't taken a vote yet, but if it passes, it'll be effective immediately. Now, that's all.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next is Allison. Allison, are you there? Allison, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is Allison.
Last
Short,
name, Allison. Spell it for the clerk.
S-H, Short, S-H-O-R-T.
Okay, go ahead.
And I apologize if y'all answered this. I didn't see the whole meeting. I have a reservation in June, but I am from Louisiana, so I need to cancel my reservation.
If it's 45-day window is effective today, and you can't come for 45 days based upon the governor's order. So, as it exists today. Now, is it subject to change? Everything is subject to change. But you can make a reservation beyond and come on the 46th day from today. But as of right now.
Okay, and who identifies the hotspot?
The governor's office.
The governor's office. Okay. All right. Thank you for taking my question.
Yes, ma'am. Stacy Harrington. Stacy Harrington, are you there? Stacy Harrington. Stacy, are you there? Stacy Harrington, last call. Okay, moving on. Rita Prater. Rita Prater, are you there? Rita Prater, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I got you now. Spell your last name for the clerk, please.
Prater, P as in Paul, R-A-T as in Tom, E-R.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you for all your hard work. Quick question. Am I understanding correctly the hot spots are Louisiana, New York, New Jersey, and what else?
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that, it would be updated if there were any changes. Just those 4 states for now.
For right now, based upon the governor's order, that's those 4 states, and it could change tomorrow, but right now that's 4 that's in play.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Lee, are you there? L-E-I-G-H. Lee, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Spell your last name for the clerk, please.
Adams, A-D-A-M-S.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you for taking my call. We are second homeowners in Walton County, multiple second home rental investment properties, as well as we are residents of New Orleans. And just wanted to see, after listening for the last hour or so, everyone's statements about all their canceled vacations and all the differences, of course, in everyone's opinions about, New Orleans isn't even a hotspot anymore and all this stuff. Just wanted to see if you guys think you will be doing anything to help advocate for the Louisiana ban to get lifted with Governor DeSantis' office.
All right, the only thing I can tell you is that we're in constant contact with our lobbyist in Tallahassee, who has some contacts within the governor's office, and we pass these concerns on to that firm over there, and they do what they can to talk to the governor and see if any of these can be relaxed. But we do that on a regular basis since this thing has started.
Thank you so much for taking my call, and I appreciate any help you can give us. Louisiana residents really want to come to Walton County.
All right, thank you. All right, Megan Russell?
Roussel?
Is that?
Yes, Roussel, I'm here.
Roussel, okay. Spell your last name for the clerk, please.
It's R-O-U-S-S-E-L.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
I'm also a Louisiana resident. I appreciate y'all allowing us to take part in this meeting very much. I have more of a question, I guess, that needs legal clarification from your person there concerning the Executive Order 20-112. In Section 2, letter D states that this order extends Section 1C and 1D of 20-86. Where Louisiana, the quarantine is what's mentioned in 1A of that, but 1A is not extended. So I was confused with that order, and I'm not a legal person, so I don't understand it.
So again, I cannot give you legal advice about any of this. If you have questions or concerns about how you should proceed, I encourage you to contact an attorney that you trust and get advice from them. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to give you legal advice. That being said, it is my understanding that the quarantine is still in place. That's my understanding from the state. But again, you need to make these decisions, based on legal advice that you would get from someone you trust. It wouldn't be appropriate for us to give you legal advice.
Okay, I guess what added to the confusion too is the Florida Health COVID-19.gov website for travelers states only references the New York tri-state area and does not mention Louisiana anymore.
We don't know. But Larry, you know anything?
Yeah, that's for the phase 1 plan.
Mr. Chairman, you did say as of Sunday, they were stopping people.
They've been stopping them for over a week and a half, 2 weeks. Anybody coming through on I-10 and I-95.
Right. I'm not so much worried about being stopped and answering some questions. It's more of the quarantining for 14 days.
Well,
A lot of these rules and regulations, they're established by the governor's office. We don't have a lot of control over them. I encourage you, like I said, to seek independent legal advice, to read all of the governor's executive orders and make your own decision. These are not documents that we have drafted or created. So it really wouldn't be appropriate for us to give you advice about how you should act in light of them.
Sure, I understand that. I just appreciate the opportunity to bring it to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Donna Llewellyn. Donna Llewellyn, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
spell your last name for the clerk.
It's Donna. Last name is Lewallen.
Okay, go ahead.
And my main concern are the grocery stores, both getting crowded and running out of resources for locals. Is it possible to get short-term rental owners and or management companies to require their guests to bring their own resources and supplies?
I don't think we can mandate that they do that. We've encouraged early on in our discussions that people need to be aware that there could be some supply chain interruptions. Some stuff may or may not be available, and that might be best for them to bring certain staples from wherever they're coming from to be prepared in case there is nothing there.
Yeah, I mean, I know you can't make them, but I've looked at different rental companies, and I don't see anything about bring your own resources. So if they could just encourage, to put it on their website or whatever, that would be awesome for us local.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, that's the last one. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.